Welcome students to this class on prebiotics. You might be wondering what prebiotics are, and I am going to tell you what exactly is prebiotics. Now you will see that prebiotics are the food substance or the indigestible food ingredient that forms a substrate for the growth of the probiotics. Last class we were discussing about probiotics. They are live microorganisms inside your system. Now for these live microorganisms to grow, they require a substrate. They require some food, and that food is an indigestible food, which is the prebiotic. In our system, in our daily food itself, we have prebiotics, that is the undigestible food, especially the fiber. That is the dietary fiber in our food is not digestible. So that becomes a substrate for the growth of the probiotics. So you will see how probiotics and prebiotics are linked together. Without prebiotics, probiotics cannot grow. So for the growth of the probiotics, you need what is called the prebiotic, which in turn will stimulate the growth of the growth or activity of a particular amount of probiotics in the colon. And we as the host, we are benefited because of the prebiotics, because they are not digested in our system. We don't get any nutrients from them, but they have a beneficial effect for the growth of the probiotics. So in that way, prebiotics play a very important role in the gut health, which will go hand in hand with the functions of the probiotics. What are prebiotics? According to Gibson and Robert Freud in the year 1995, they have defined prebiotic as a non-digestible food ingredient that beneficially affects the host by selectively stimulating the growth or activity of a limited number of bacteria in the colon that can improve the host health. Prebiotics can also be defined as non-digestible food components, usually oligosaccharides, which evade the digestion by digestive enzymes in the upper regions of the gastrointestinal tract. They reach the colon in an intact state, and they are metabolized by the beneficial members of the indigenous bacteria, microbiota. Typically, prebiotics are carbohydrates such as oligosaccharides or certain dietary fibers that cannot be digested. They are involved in selectively stimulating the growth and activity of good bacteria, that is a beneficial bacteria, that is probiotics to benefit the host health. Prebiotics are non-digestible but fermentable fiber that stimulate the growth and activity of the intestinal microbiota. Now here you will see what are the foods which are a rich source of prebiotics: wheat, Jerusalem artichokes, onions, leeks, potatoes, etc. There is again a short list of common prebiotics and their uses. You will see what are the foods rich in inulin, chicory, banana, onion, garlic, fructooligosaccharides. What are the sources? Polydextrose, the sources, sugar, gum arabic, polyols, etc. You will see that sugar, that is beetroot, banana, lactobacillus, Jerusalem artichoke, all these are good sources of prebiotics which help in the growth of the lactobacillus. Now we shall see prebiotics are again. Prebiotics act as fertilizers to healthy bacterial growth. Without fertilizers, a plant cannot grow. Similarly, without adequate amount of prebiotics, probiotics cannot grow. Prebiotics are not affected by cold, acid, time or heat. Instead of supplying beneficial bacteria from an exogenous source, the prebiotic is supposed to increase the number of certain target bacteria, that is the probiotics, already present in the colon. I hope you understand this. It is not that you have to supply this probiotics every time from food sources. In case you are not able to supply, the already existing prebiotics in the food can increase the amount of probiotics. Prebiotics increase selected friendly bacteria, that is lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. They produce various short-chain fatty acids, and short-chain fatty acids have an impact on lowering the gut environment, metabolism and disease prevention. The short-chain fatty acids are quickly absorbed. They can serve as an energy source for the host, especially between the meals. They contribute to fecal pH, thereby influencing the colonic function and perhaps the risk of cancer. See here again you can see probiotic foods to include in your diet. Already you have seen what are the probiotics. In the next slide we will be seeing how these microorganisms can be increased by the use of prebiotics. So some digestible oligosaccharides are classified as colonic foods and prebiotics. Recognized products used as food ingredients that meet all the requisites of probiotic classification are fructo-oligosaccharides, trans-galactosyl disaccharides, soybean oligosaccharides. What are the sources of prebiotics? Mainly they are oligosaccharides. FOS, that is the examples are legumes, vegetable extracts, and which will come as a matter of hydrolysis of cereals. The soybean oligosaccharides are again derived by the extraction hydrolysis of soybean. Xylo-oligosaccharides are plant sources. Trans-galacto-oligosaccharides are again plant sources. So what are polysaccharides? Inulin is the best example for polysaccharide. It is an extract from legumes, vegetables and cereals. It is a resistant starch which is got from legumes, vegetables and starch. The other prebiotics are high fiber foods, fruits, vegetables, grains, especially barley, flax, oatmeal and wholemeal. What are the plant sources of prebiotics? They are the dietary fiber. The main dietary fiber is pectin, which is present in apples and strawberries. Hemicellulose is present in whole grains, leafy vegetables, cabbage and carrots. FOS as inulin. FOS that is present in garlic, onions, honey and banana. Yogurt contains oligosaccharides and are made with live bacterial content. Commercially produced Nutraflora improves the flavor, replaces the sugar in diabetics. So here you will see these are all the dietary fiber, which is a non-digestible food in our body, and that can function as a substrate or a food for the probiotics. You will see here carrots, tomatoes, all the raw fruits and vegetables. Fibers cannot be split by enzymes of the upper digestive tract and pass through the intestine undigested. Therefore, they have no significant calorific value. They increase the bulk of fecal mass, especially the undigested material. Insoluble fibers normalize the intestinal transit time. Soluble fibers hold water to form a gel in the gastrointestinal tract. Short chain fatty acids are produced by the action of gut bacteria, and they are soluble and can be taken in the diet. See, now here you will see what is the difference between prebiotics and probiotics. Already you have studied about probiotics. So you will see prebiotics are defined as a non-living, non-digestible special form of fiber or carbohydrate, whereas probiotics are referred to as live active microorganisms that when administered in adequate amount will have beneficial effect to its host. Prebiotics is a powder form which can survive heat, cold and acid, whereas probiotics is a live form. It is more fragile, vulnerable to heat and may be killed over the time. Prebiotics perform their role by nourishing the bacteria that live in the intestines, whereas probiotics fight the harmful bacteria species present in the gut, thereby preventing disease conditions. So soluble fibers are best fuel to colonocytes. Soluble fibers undergo fermentation by intestinal flora in the large intestine, resulting in gas production. So you will see that some studies show that bifidobacteria, which is 20% before taking inulin, increases to 71% after taking inulin. What is inulin? Inulin is a prebiotic. It's a non-digestible polysaccharide. When you take adequate amount of inulin, the amount of bifidobacteria, that is a probiotic, increases to 71%. Similarly, bacteroids, that is a pathogenic bacteria, which was 65% before inulin intake, decreased to 26% after taking 5 grams of inulin, which shows that taking adequate amount of prebiotics will decrease the amount of pathogens. Clostridium, which was 3%, was reduced to 0.3% after consuming inulin. You will see here bifidobacterium is again a probiotic which also requires prebiotics. What are the characteristics of good prebiotics? They should neither be hydrolyzed or be absorbed in the upper part of the gastrointestinal tract. When you take a fiber-rich food or when you take a prebiotic, it should not be digested in the stomach or in the upper gastrointestinal tract. It should be a selective substrate for one or limited number of bacteria, that is the bacteria causing no harm, to cecum, colon, which are stimulated to grow or metabolically activated. Prebiotics are able to alter the colonic flora in favor of a healthier composition. Similarly, prebiotics should be palatable as food ingredient and large-scale processing should be easy. What are the bases for selection of prebiotics? Resistance to digestion, hydrolysis and fermentation of colonic microflora, selective stimulation of growth of one or limited number of bacteria, beneficial health effects of host. Now we'll see what are the functions of prebiotics. The functions are: it normalizes the bowel function, aids in calcium absorption, modulation of lipid metabolism, prevents colon cancer, boosts immune system, improves antibiotic associated diarrhea, improves traveler's diarrhea, improves gastroenteritis. And here you will see the daily nutrition nibble, prebiotic foods for gut health. So here you can choose what are the foods which are commonly available. I was telling you about raw fruit or vegetable. You will see here artichokes, onions, garlic, chicory, asparagus, leeks, berries, bananas, flaxseed, beans, lentils. All these foods that you are seeing on the screen, any food can be a good source of substrate, can be a good substrate for the growth of probiotics. Prebiotics reduces colitis, it reduces irritable bowel syndrome, it gives relief from constipation, reduces the intestinal pH and restores intestinal bacterial balance. Prebiotics also reduces blood cholesterol level, it reduces the risk of colorectal cancer, enhances intestinal microflora and lessens the chances of having type 2 diabetes and osteoporosis. Here you will see all the varieties of prebiotic commercially available foods. All these foods are being made commercial, like Jerusalem artichokes, onions, asparagus, garlic, leeks, beets, cabbage, tomatoes. Under grains you have whole grains, oatmeal, chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, coconut flour, fruits, berries, bananas, apples, mangoes, and in legumes, kidney beans, navy beans, white beans, black beans. All these natural sources of prebiotics, and you see in the on the right side all these being formulated as commercial dietary supplements. Prebiotics are now sold in the market as commercial dietary supplements. Now prebiotics also provide relief from constipation. The fermentation produces gas which increases the volume and reduces the transit time, speeds up or hastens the transit time of the digestion in the intestine. Constipation results because of very slow intestinal passage. Reducing the transit time thus helps to prevent the constipation. Prebiotics are also helpful in many other ways. Many carbohydrates increase the water content of the intestine, and the acids produce intestinal motility. That is, they function like a sponge. They absorb the water and they retain it, and thereby they increase the fecal bulk. These two effects reduce the transit time, which in turn reduces the incidence of constipation. So this prebiotic also helps in reducing intestinal pH. Intestinal diseases such as Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome are characterized by high pH. Reducing the pH thus reduces symptoms of this disease, which is beneficial to the patients. The presence of prebiotics brings about change in the metabolism from protein fermentation to carbohydrate fermentation. This brings about a reduction in intestinal pH. So these are again the commercially available prebiotics which are available in the market. How does it reduce the blood cholesterol? Oligofructose significantly lowers the concentration of serum triacylglycerol and phospholipids. It also reduces fatty acids synthetase by 20% and lowers postprandial insulinemia. So in this way it reduces the blood cholesterol level. Prebiotics also reduces the risk of colorectal cancer. Studies show that products formed by prebiotic fermentation reduce the risk of colorectal cancer. Better intestinal microflora in the infants. The intestinal microflora of children under 4 years of age is very unstable. Oral pathogens may disturb the microflora. If you give adequate amount of prebiotics, that will improve the amount of probiotics. Commercial oligosaccharides have a stabilizing effect. It changes the microflora and reduces the pH. It also helps in the absorption of calcium and magnesium. Here you will see the intestinal microflora, which you have already seen in the probiotics class. How does prebiotic have an effect on immune system? The oligosaccharides occurring in the breast milk plays an important role in the development of healthy immune system in infants. Main benefits of major prebiotics and potential mechanisms of action. The anti-inflammatory effects of fiber are due to the production of short-chain fatty acids such as acetate, propionate, butyrate, which are known to be beneficial for bowel health. Short-chain fatty acids have been successful and effective in reducing colitis and other colonic inflammatory disorders. Butyrate is a short-chain fatty acid which is a major energy source of colonic epithelial cells. It affects the proliferation and barrier function of the colonic epithelium and reduces oxidative DNA damage. Butyrate has been shown to reduce the incidence of colon cancer. Here you will see how prebiotics help in preventing many of the disease conditions. It prevents colon cancer. It functions as a laxative agent, preventing constipation. It helps in controlling diarrhea. It prevents infections. It plays a role in atopic dermatitis. It helps in preventing irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, and it helps in calcium absorption. Diet enriched in fiber affects the immune system. It provides resistance to colonization by pathogenic bacteria by inhibiting the adherence of pathogens to the gut epithelium. Health effects of prebiotics are prevention of diarrhea or constipation. Prebiotics have positive effects on lipid metabolism and stimulation of mineral absorption. Here again you will see the sources of prebiotics. Prebiotic factor, what's the origin? Oligosaccharides from onion, garlic, asparagus, soybean, wheat bran, etc. Fructo-oligosaccharides, same as oligosaccharides. Fructans, ash-free white powder from the tubers of Jerusalem artichoke. See, human kappa, casein, derived from glycopeptide. It is from the human milk, chymotrypsin and pepsin hydrolysate. Casein macropeptide is from bovine milk. Lactositol, synthetic sugar, alcohol, lactose. Lactulose or D-fructose is a synthetic derivative of lactose. What is the effective dose of prebiotics? A normal diet provides 5 to 10 grams of non-digestible carbohydrate every day. This includes oligosaccharide from vegetable origin, mainly fructo-oligosaccharides. The carbohydrate fermentation absorption. Gut microflora have enzymes that human cells lack for breaking down certain carbohydrates like starch, oligosaccharides and sugars, especially lactose and sugar alcohols. So you will see the gut microflora which we discussed in the last class. They are the probiotics. These probiotics have certain enzymes which our human cells do not have. These enzymes which are produced by the microflora will break down certain substances like starch, especially oligosaccharides and sugars. So you will see the relationship between prebiotics and probiotics. We know that prebiotics are necessary for the growth of probiotics. They form a substrate for probiotics. But at the same time, probiotics themselves, they have certain enzymes that break down the carbohydrates, and thereby those broken down carbohydrates, especially oligosaccharides, they form a suitable medium for the growth of the useful or beneficial bacteria. So here you will see the sugars are lactose, glucose, alcohols, and prebiotics produce 1 kilocalorie energy. So don't think that prebiotics are nothing, they are non-digestible, we cannot do anything. They do produce calories at the rate of 1 kilocalorie per gram. So here, during fermentation of prebiotics, butyrate and other short-chain fatty acids are produced, and that results in immunomodulation. Immunomodulation increases in mucus and blood flow, that decreases in blood cholesterol, and it increases in sodium absorption and regulates cell proliferation and effect on cell differentiation. So here you will see how the fermentation of the prebiotics enhance the sodium absorption and how they play a role in preventing cholesterol from accumulation. They decrease the blood cholesterol and thereby prevent the cardiovascular diseases. So here you will see the diagrammatic representation of fiber, that is the indigestible starch, which will give rise, which is forming a substrate for the growth of the commensal bacteria. This commensal bacteria will produce short chain fatty acids, and the short chain fatty acids have a number of effects. It produces IgA production, it helps in stimulation of mucus production, it helps in tissue repair, and you will see here promotes Treg cells, that is the tolerance of digestive system, and you will see inflammasome activation, that is IL-18 production, and they also inhibit inflammatory substances. So you will see that it is all interlinked. The prebiotics, which are non-digestible, will result in the production of bacteria. The bacteria produces short chain fatty acids, and that in turn has a number of beneficial effects. The short chain fatty acids produced by fermentation of carbohydrates are called saccharolytic fermentation. They are beneficial to the host as they provide a major source of energy and nutrients for humans. Gases and organic acids like lactobacillus are produced by saccharolytic fermentation. So far we have been talking about prebiotics, and in the earlier class we have been discussing about probiotics, and you know that both are interlinked, and now both together are existing in some foods. The combination of probiotics and prebiotics together is called synbiotics. What are synbiotics? The combination of live bacteria in a food and the inclusion of nutrients, usually sugars, that can be used by those bacteria as the two travel together in the gastrointestinal tract has resulted in what is termed as symbiotic foods. I hope you understand this. You have the live microorganisms, that is the probiotics. Then you have the undigestible food, that is the prebiotics. Now both together could be in the same medium. Both the bacteria and the non-digestible food can travel together in the gastrointestinal tract, and in case both are together, then that type of food is called symbiotic food. The most popular symbiotic combination seems to be bifidobacterium and fructooligosaccharides. Fructooligosaccharides is a base or is a substrate for the growth of the bifidobacterium, and the bifidobacterium and the fructooligosaccharides together is found in the same food, and therefore that is called the symbiotic food. The only purpose of prebiotics is to feed the bacteria in the guts. When a probiotic and a prebiotic are combined, they are called symbiotic. It is the most effective therapeutic treatment. The most common example of symbiotic is yogurt or kefir. What is yogurt? Yogurt is again curd, which has the carbohydrate and also the live microorganisms. Both the undigestible carbohydrate and the probiotic together present in the same food is called symbiotic, and a common example is yogurt. It contains the bacterial colony and the food for it. Probiotics are the life forms that colonize from our gut and skin and keep us healthy. Prebiotics are substances that feed the probiotics. Prebiotics can be natural or synthetic, and they are dietary fiber that we cannot digest. If both pre and probiotics are consumed, the colony will survive and thrive. I hope you understand prebiotics are not digested because we do not have the particular enzyme to digest the prebiotics, but they are forming the substrate for the growth of the probiotics, and both together, if they are present in a food, that's the best source which can help keep you healthy, and they are called the symbiotics. If the diet provides only probiotics and the regular diet is low on prebiotics, the colony will die of starvation. If higher doses of prebiotics are there than the regular, then probiotics will thrive and they will start to multiply. To restore the healthy gut flora, both pre and probiotics should be consumed in the right proportion from the start. All forms of prebiotics in foods nourishes the probiotics. Lactobacillus are fed from milk, lactic acid bacteria in sauerkraut, or any brine pickle feed from sugar in the pickled vegetables. So when probiotic foods are consumed as supplement, there is an extra need for prebiotics apart from the regular diet. Prebiotics and probiotics taken together has been characterized as symbiotics. This reflects a symbiotic relationship and a physical relationship between the humans and the trillions of bacterial friends. The prebiotics and or probiotics are a powerful strategy for manipulating the microbial composition and immune responses of the host. Now let us summarize whatever we have learned. Prebiotics are those undigestible or indigestible food substances which form a substrate or which form the base or the food for the probiotics. So these prebiotics are present in our food, especially the oligosaccharides, inulin and other polysaccharides which are not digested in our system. And the best example that we can give is dietary fiber, and every day make it a point that you take some fiber rich food, that is like guava, which has lot of seeds which are not digested by our digestive system. We don't have the enzymes to digest the fiber. In case you take herbivorous animals, they have a enzyme called cellulase which will digest the cellulose. We don't have cellulase, therefore it's not digested. Because it's not digested, it reaches the large intestine, that is the colon, and there it forms a substrate or forms a food for the growth of the probiotics. So remember, because you learned probiotics, you are going to take curd, which is a very simple thing. Now, because you have learned prebiotics, you will take some type of a fresh fruit or fresh vegetable, which is a rich source of fiber.